Today's Christmas spot, we're having a look at the McFarlane Toys Twisted Christmas. Today we're looking at the very large and menacing Jack Frost. Up at the top corner you can see a picture of Jack Frost drawn by Todd McFarlane. This is a very impressive figure. This one I can't wait to actually get opened up. Again, it's an open window, so if you are the type to prefer and keep your toys sealed, you can still do it and still appreciate the toy itself, which I really like. Now granted, I'm going to open this anyways because I'm going to do the review for you guys, but I do like the fact that you can still keep it sealed if you really wanted to. On the back of the package, we've got a picture of Jack Frost. Now, this could very well be a prototype image. I'll zoom in here. As a matter of preference, when I saw the back of the package here and I saw this figure, you'll notice that this figure seems more painted. Than the actual figure that we received. The actual figure is making use of a clear plastic, like a translucent plastic. The one on the back of the package, though, looks like it's fully painted. And I think the detailing looks a little nicer on this figure than the one that was, than the one that we actually received. But maybe that will change when I get the package opened up. It says, you'll know Santa's on his way when Mr. Frost starts nipping at your nose. Judging by the size of him, he's going to be doing a lot more than just nipping at your nose. Inside the decadently distorted mind of Todd McFarlane, the holidays take an entirely different twist. Forget the warmth of Christmas past. McFarlane's Twisted Christmas transforms the characters you thought you knew, and the results are undeniably wicked. The other figures you can get in this wave are Santa Claus, Mrs. Claus, Rudy Reindeer, Snowman, and Santa's Little Helper. For more information on Todd McFarlane and McFarlane Toys, you can check out www.spawn.com. So that's packaging on Jack Frost. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bit of a break. I'm going to get this out of package. We are going to have a better look at Jack Frost. There's more magic on the way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. And out of package, you can clearly see that Jack Frost is a very detailed figure. There's a lot going on with him. Before we actually look at Jack Frost, we'll take him off. He doesn't really necessarily have a display stand, as he has just an extra piece that hit one of his feet, if you can call it a foot, stands in front of. And that little piece, that extra piece, is a small city. You can see that there's little buildings going on there, a little windmill, all of which have been snowed in. Perhaps an avalanche. Perhaps it's just this guy. I mean, for scale comparisons, you can imagine how big these buildings are to people, and yet compared to how big the buildings are to Jack Frost, yeah, they stood no chance. They stood absolutely no chance against Jack Frost. I like the fact that they gave you a display stand, like a little extra something instead of it just being Jack Frost. He stands relatively alright without it, but I think having that little added touch, personally, for one thing, it gives you an idea of how big he really is. It makes him look even more menacing when you look down and you're like, wait a minute, that's a building. Yeah, he is pretty large indeed. We'll just put the city down below there. And let's have a look at Jack Frost. Now, when you take him out of package, these branches, there's about 4, maybe 5 of them that you actually have to peg into place. They don't really give you instructions as to which peg into which spot, but the beauty of it is that they're shaped. The pegs themselves are shaped specifically for which slot to put them in. And actually, you see, there we go. Now that I'm looking a little harder here. That makes a little bit more sense. Everybody's like, Spot, what are you doing? No, really, Spot, what are you doing? On the undersiding of the peg, there's actually a little letter. In this case, it says A. You probably won't see this unless my camera does do it. You'll see right inside there, way deep down in that peg, you'll actually see a letter A. So, unless you failed kindergarten, you're actually going to take the letter A peg of the branch and you're going to peg that into the letter A peg. That would explain, I had one that didn't want to sit quite right. Now I know why. I think I got all the other ones in the right spots though. But the detail work on the branches are very, very nice. Again, you would almost, the scale on these are completely off. If you imagine how big these, we assume them to be trees, how big these trees are versus these buildings. A little too big, but you kind of have to suspend some disbelief. You also have to suspend disbelief that he's wielding this very large piece of tree. Again, how big is this tree compared to how big these city buildings are? We zoom up to the close-up of Jack Frost's face, and you see a very terrifying sculpt on the actual face of Jack Frost. He's got himself a nose, he has some very creepy eyes, and you can see all these icicle teeth that they've put in his mouth. He's got a very long, I can zoom the camera back a bit, he's got a very long mouth. But the detailing on just all the icicles and stuff like that around his body is done really, really well. They're rubbery too, which I was a little worried about. I thought they were more of a solid plastic that if you bang these would break off, but they seem to all be rubbery enough that there's a little bit of give going on, certainly down by the crotch area as well. There's a little bit of give to them that I don't think they're going to break off as much as I thought they would originally. He's also got these tree roots as feet. Again, really just adding to the overall feel that he essentially is made out. He's made up of the earth, like he's made up of the trees and the snow and the ice and everything else. He's got really, really large hands. You can rotate the hands slightly. In fact, I don't know if you can easily take these out, take the branch out of his hands. Just put that to the side here. You can rotate the arms from the looks of it. You can also rotate the hands. The only downside though, while this hand seems to work pretty good with the idea that you can have the arm out like he's going to be swinging something at you. You could probably put the tree back in his hand that he's winding up for a pitch. The other hand really doesn't do anything, like to move it out to the side. Maybe he's like, "Curse you, children! Curse you! Let your dogs pee all over me." You can only get him in so many different positions where after a while the arm does look a little awkward, that you can't really do too much else with it. Again, there's better detail on the mouth area there. The only real strike I could make about Jack Frost goes back to something I had mentioned with the package end of the review. And that is, while I do like the fact that this is a translucent plastic, I really think a fully colored Jack Frost, like the white, that white with the blue and everything else, I think would have really made this stand out a little bit more. This looks more like an ice Jack Frost, which perhaps is more fitting. But I think a painted white Jack Frost with the blue and everything else, as seen on the package, I think the figure would look a little nicer. It would just give him that little extra bit of detail that I think is kind of missing, I think, right now in this figure. I'll just get the branch back in his hands here. There we go. That being said, though, he's still a top-notch figure. He's really nice with the display stand going on there. And he's very menacing. Despite the fact that I think the paint was just slightly off, he's still a very impressive figure to pick up. Jack Frost, I'm going to give a 7.52. Today's Christmas spot. We were having a look at the Twisted Christmas Jack Frost. I thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more Christmas spots. There's certainly a lot more coming this December. And I'll see you guys next time.